What makes for an interesting story? Why do some stories work where others do not? The first two episodes of the second season in The Mandalorian offer up a unique opportunity to explore these questions in depth. Fair warning, spoilers ahead. They really couldn't be any further apart from one another in how they choose to tell a story. Season opener, The Marshal, starts with Mando at the height of his game. He's calm, he's cool, he's collected. You could substitute James Bond into this episode and it would play much the same. Mando spends the entire episode winning all day long, and at the end of the episode, he wins what he desires. The Passenger, episode 2 of the same season, takes a very different approach. It repeatedly raised the stakes, and with them, the engagement it asks viewers to make. The Star Wars fandom doesn't much care for The Passenger, which is being attacked as a filler episode. I'm about to argue why it's not only a good episode of The Mandalorian, but why it's the better example of storytelling between the two. These are great episodes to study because they share so many variables between them. They both take place in the same universe, obviously. They're both written by the same writer, show creator Jon Favreau. And lastly, they are back-to-back episodic instances within the same larger serialized series arc. We've taken a brief look at The Marshal. Let's do the same for The Passenger. It begins with Mando being kicked off of his bike in the very first story beat. Mando then spends the entirety of the rest of the episode being knocked off of one metaphorical bike after another. He ends the episode by dusting himself off and resuming his journey, but having paid a monumentally heavy price. Mando perseveres despite 100 reasons not to. Because of this, The Passenger incorporates and plays with drama in ways that The Marshal simply doesn't. The stakes are high, the events are captivating, and I have to believe that Mando is changed as a person following the events that happened to him in The Passenger. We all learn so much more from our mistakes and our struggles than we ever learned from our successes. If we know this as people, then we carry this with us as viewers. And when we see a character nonchalantly winning, just throwing up 3-pointers as if popping M&Ms as we do so many times in The Marshal, then we subconsciously distance ourselves from this moment in time in the story. No matter what school of thought you ascribe to for telling stories, one thing is nearly universal. Audiences' desire for stories to undergo transformation. Stories engage us the most when the world or the characters are different in the end from where they were in the beginning. The Passenger gives us this change. The start of the episode gives us Mando easy riding through the desert on a bike with no name, and closes with Mando limping off into the distance in his own ship, which has all but been destroyed. Mando's circumstances change dramatically from point A to point B. We don't get this same sense of change in The Marshal, and that can leave us feeling as though we are seeing some sights and meeting some people, but that none of it carries much weight. It's the textbook definition of spectacle over substance. Arcs also serve an additional purpose when used in layers inside of a story. In abstract story terms, they add texture, and what adding texture really means is that the secondary, smaller story arcs echo and reinforce the overall tone and theme of a story being told. For instance, The Passenger is all about kicking Mando while he's down, and this is echoed in the arc represented by the ice spiders. When they first appear, we get hundreds of small spiders. It's a bad situation. Then we get bigger spiders. There are fewer of them, but they pose more of a threat. This is worse. And finally, worse goes full tilt, and we get a monster of a spider. There's only one, but there only needs to be. Everything has gone from bad to worse to terrible in a downward, 3-tiered slope of misfortune. With the downward slope complete, we are now given what we are led to believe will be 3 tiers of upward hope. First, they reach the main hull, but it's pierced and offers no protection. They run deeper into safety by climbing to the upper level. Spiders follow. They can't close it off. It's not looking good. Finally, they seal themselves off in the cockpit. There's nowhere else to run. Their backs are up against a wall. They're safe from the small spiders, and that's when the monster spider closes in for the kill. All seems lost before they are unexpectedly rescued. When you look at the 3 tiers of threat and pair them with the 3 tiers of hope, you get an arc that reinforces the arc of the overall episode. Send Mando into hell and bring him back out again. Not only are such story arcs absent from the Marshal, but every beat within the Passenger moves the story forward, whereas the Marshal spins its wheels, revisiting the same beats over and over again. Case in point, the Marshal opens with Mando making a journey to find the Marshal. The two of them then journey to kill the dragon. They're ambushed by the Tusken Raiders in an undramatic ambush, and together everyone journeys to kill the dragon. Only upon arrival they decide that they actually need more people, so they journey back to the town where they started, and with the help of everyone in the village, they then journey to kill the dragon. It's too much. And what is the big payoff? Just a big fight-em. There's not a whole lot of meat on the bones of the Marshal. The story itself seems to recognize this, and in a strange beat chooses to pay lip service to drama in asking viewers to believe that Mando is killed in his effort to slay the dragon. It's too little, too late, and it's an empty gesture at best because it's the first episode of a season. Whereas the Marshal gives us journey, 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 big fight, the Passenger forces Mando to travel at sublight speeds against his better judgment, for which he is punished when he is stopped by the space police. He's identified as a wanted criminal for his actions in a past episode. He chooses to evade capture only to crash his ship on an ice planet where he, the child, and the passenger will most likely die due to exposure to the elements. Every action is met with consequence. He gets a second wind, decides to fix his ship, only to go through the entire ordeal of facing death by spiders. The Passenger takes the characters through hell only to say, "Oh no, this is just hell's lobby, please continue into actual hell." And then at just the moment when all is lost, they are mysteriously saved by none other than their original threat, the space police. That's interesting storytelling. It's engaging storytelling. For my money, it's the better episode for it. What are your thoughts? Do you like to break down stories and explore what makes them work for you? What does make a story work for you? I would love to hear your thoughts and to make this a conversation. If you feel so inclined, drop your thoughts into the comments. I'm totally new here. You can help me start this channel with a like. It costs nothing. It's easy to do. And each one means a lot to me. Like if you're into it, subscribe if you want more of it, and comment if you have notes.